All right, boy, if you think you've got it hard and some barriers to getting into business for yourself, you're going to want to hear what my guest has to say today.
This is the Franchise Pitfalls and Profits Show. Each week, we bring you the challenges and triumphs of being in the franchise development and consulting business. The things you need to make money faster. And now your host, one of the most successful franchise developers in North America, Don Schin.
All right, I am here with Atlanta West, and I am just over the top excited to have you on the episode today. So let me introduce you to the audience. Atlanta is a passionate mompreneur. This is a title that just so attracted me to her about wanting to have her on as a guest. So she's a franchise consultant. She's co-founder of Franchise Top 40, the company. It works. The company works with aspiring business owners. She's a risk taker, which is, well, again, I just got to hear about all this. She built the company along with her parents. The business has blessed her family. She's got an incredibly supportive husband in all of this. Take note, audience, to that, because that is something we always talk about in our profession, about being sure your spouse is fully committed to you starting your own business. And she's just, bottom line, she's just really got a heart to serve families and help provide the mechanisms for people to find the freedom that she and her husband and her family have found. And boy, again, viewers, can you relate to that? Wanting to have that freedom that just seems out of reach. You're going to hear more about how to do that today. So thanks for being on the show with me. I love having you.
Thank you so much for having me, Don. I'm really excited for our conversation.
Yeah, I was so excited. You used the phrase mompreneur, which I thought you should trademark that or something. I don't know. I just thought that was such a cool perspective that you have. And so I just wanted to just get started. Tell us a little bit more about what that means, about how you got started, what was the driver, and then we'll get into some of the other stuff. So just tell us how you got started in all of this.
Yeah, well, a little secret, mompreneur kind of came about because I love to make up words. And so it seemed kind of natural once I kind of built my own business, became a mom. My husband was like, you should really, coin mompreneur. We need to get T-shirts. We need to do everything. But really it just started because I am known for making up words. But I really started down this path of entrepreneurship really since the age of 6, as my parents like to say. But both my parents are serial entrepreneurs. They have owned many businesses, started businesses, franchised them, sold them. So I really grew up that way. I didn't really know any different. I know to a lot of people, entrepreneurship seems like such a risk. And I just really didn't view it that way because it was just how I grew up. And it was kind of each week of what new business is mom and dad doing and are involved in. And so I always wanted to do that in some capacity, be an owner myself, work for myself. It certainly comes with its own set of challenges, but
what we often talk about, I often talk about, is that kitchen table type of talk. Mom and dad making payroll, or like you said, mom and dad having a new business idea this month. So that was a part of your fabric then, which is really, really interesting. So you're in the consulting business, the franchise consulting space. Tell us why did you choose that? And
Sure.
As you started to say, what might have been some of the challenges that people could, but there are going to be challenges to starting. Your challenges will be similar to starting any business, most likely, not just a consulting business. So tell us why you chose that, and then what some of the challenges were.
Sure. Yeah. So I got married when I was 18 to my high school sweetheart, and we were both working 9 to 5, sometimes much longer than that. My parents had retired at the time to be full-time grandparents, and they got very bored since they were just so used to working and starting companies. And so they became franchise consultants during COVID.
Okay.
My husband was in construction at the time, and it was kind of touch and go with COVID, and I was a nanny, and I saw how successful my parents were, just the time freedom it gave them to be consultants in the hours that they chose to work, not had to work. And they could do it from anywhere. And so my parents lovingly kind of took me under their wing and were willing to teach me how to do it. And I started just going through their leads, trying to help them out with emails here and there, and then just totally fell in love with the consulting part of it, just getting to talk to everyday people that were looking to just bless their families and their communities through franchise ownership. And so my dad's like, hey, you've really got a knack for this. Why don't you go do your own thing? So I kind of branched away, started
Okay.
doing consulting on my own. And then we all kind of got together to found Franchise Top 40 about 3 years ago
Okay.
together as a team.
So what was and I want to get back to that specifically then as well, because it's a really interesting approach to the franchise industry. So when you started to pull away from your folks, what was your vision? Did you have a vision, and it's been 3 years? Has it changed at all? Has it come to fruition, or anything changed?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first kind of started working with my parents, that was the same time my husband and I decided we wanted to try to start a family. We struggled with infertility for about 4.5 years
Okay.
during all of this. And so my mission initially was just to keep myself busy, have something else to do to kind of tune those struggles out and put them to the side of it. And then 2 years into it, I ended up getting pregnant after starting my own
Yay.
consulting thing. Yes, thank you. I have a 15-month-old now. And so the original vision was just, stay busy, try and create financial freedom for my husband during this really stressful time that we were going through with infertility. And now it's totally switched to how can I create a better life for my family and my daughter, and to ultimately be a mom first. But also have the flexibility to do that because I have a great business and a team supporting me. So that's kind of how Mompreneur came about. And really my goal now is to just be so hands-on as a mother, but then also have something for myself too that I take pride in. And I need that face-to-face interaction with people, just because I'm home with her all day, which I absolutely love. But just getting to be on the phone with people, hear other people's stories. I really come from a place of service. And so it just fills my cup getting to hear everyday people looking to create that same financial freedom for their families, and those moms and dads looking
It's
to
awesome.
not have to miss baseball games and just get to be more involved.
Yeah, and I again, for my audience, just so they know, Atlanta absolutely lives it to the T, because we had trouble getting her getting scheduled here because her daughter was sick and bumped us out a bit. So, but it just proved to me that she has her priorities in order, and I applaud you for knowing your priorities and living that out. I mean, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think I had emailed you like, this is signature Mompreneur. This is what it is. It's mom first. I ended up spending that whole day in urgent care, and but it brought me peace to know, like, okay, I can do that. I have the ability to be where I need to be at that time for my daughter, but also have a business to come back to that will bless my family for the future to come, is the goal, hopefully.
So talk about one or two challenges, because again, people have this psychological barriers sometimes to wanting to become a business owner. So what's maybe a challenge that people might relate to, or
Sure.
something that you went through, and tell us how you overcame it.
Yeah, I would say probably the first one that comes to mind was getting my husband on board, which I hear quite often from a lot of candidates and people I speak to. But we just grew up very differently. My husband came from a home of two loving parents that just they grinded. They worked really hard in their corporate jobs. And so taking a risk by having me be my own business owner, he was pretty scared for a while. He was like, I don't know how we're going to make that work to lose that Friday morning check that you can rely on every week. Like, how are we going to budget and try and come up with ways to work around that if you're going to own your own business?
And our sales cycle is long. I mean, it's not a short
Right.
sales. If you're lucky, it's 3 or 4 months. And
Right. Not
sometimes
knowing
it
when the
can be
next
longer.
check is going to come or who it's going to come from or how
Yeah.
much it will be. Certainly those waters were hard to navigate with him because I just had the spirit of, oh, well, what's the worst that can happen? I'll go back and do my nanny job, or I have my cosmetology license. I'm like, people will always need haircuts. Don't stress about it. I can go back. But ultimately, I think the Lord really opened those doors for him to see, okay, you're so passionate about this. All the doors are opening up. It's kind of getting to the point where it's undeniable that this is where we need to be and this is the moment to do it. And so it took a lot of prayer to get us through those early stages. And even now, though, like you said, waiting for that next deal to come in or that paycheck, certainly the Lord has blessed our business and we don't deny that, but it's also just being able to team up together and really be a team. And that's really something I try to emphasize with the candidates I'm speaking with daily as well, that it does take a teamwork to make that happen, and also a community of people to surround yourself with that can align with your goals, really help you on the days when you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done this, or it would be easier to go back to what I know and what's comfortable. So that's probably the number one thing. And now, my husband calls my business the fun money. He's like, let's just use the fun money to go do this. So it certainly worked out, but that partnership between spouses is certainly a risk.
Yeah, and I would say I would highlight that passion that you had. I can relate to that a little bit. I'm now in my 25th year of owning my own business. And
congratulations.
Thank you. And I remember thank you. And I remember the conversations my wife and I had, and she came from in fact, all of her all the male figures in her life, her father, both of her brothers, her uncle, they all from college to retirement. One company always worked, not for the same company, but each one worked for their own, for one employer for their whole career. Wow. So she was extremely risk averse, but she, as you said, she saw the desire and the passion that I had for stepping out on my own. And she also saw my head was pretty bloodied every day coming from corporate, beating my head against the wall. But that's another story. But no, that having those conversations, I think, is so key. What you're bringing that up is really important. And then both parties really feeling comfortable with the ultimate decision. Because I've always said this, and certainly appreciate your thoughts on it, but I've always said, you don't want, because the marketplace, the business once in a while will knock your breath out of you, knock your legs out from under you. And you don't want to go home and have that also happen again,
Right. Yeah. Oh, certainly. Yes.
You want to go home and get encouraged. Come on. I know you can do this. Tomorrow will be a different day. You want to be encouraged at home. So we're talking about challenges. So I always like to segue a little bit into, give us a couple of feel good highlights, successes that you've had. Always, I think the profession we're in is just so cool. The ripple effect can be so cool. But anyway, give us a couple of highlights, maybe something you did that you were surprised that happened, or maybe success with a certain client, but just give us a couple of, some of the highlights of business ownership.
Yeah, well, I would say first and foremost, as I mentioned, my daughter is now 15 months old, and I've been able to stay home with her for all 15 months. So that's really my biggest win, and something I'm super proud of is that I didn't have to put her in daycare. I didn't have to hire a nanny. which again couldn't have been possible if my husband didn't support me in doing that. Because it's now that she's getting older, it's harder to hide the crying during a phone call with someone, or all the toys going off and the songs on the TV. But that's certainly been such a joy just to know that I've been home with her. I haven't had to miss any big milestones. So that's been really exciting. And also just getting to work with my parents has been really fun. We founded Franchise Top 40, which was such a labor of love. We really just found such a disconnect when it came to our clients and the people we were speaking to, that they just wanted to have like a one-stop shop, somewhere to go to really find out what we do, but then also learn about the brands that we associate ourselves with. And so that's been 3 years in the making. We've been trying every day to get that up and running, to make it look the way we want it to. So it's been really fun to get to publish that. And I still get giddy when I get an email that someone's liked our page or seen one of our videos. Makes it feel like all the hard work's been worth it, that we've poured into that. And then also
so tell us about that. And I'm gonna. This is, by the way, for the audience, if you want to follow up, if you want to find out more about Atlana's story, you want to find out more detail how she did it, or you want her to help you find a business for you. Here, this is the way to reach out to her. But tell us how this came about. What was the thought process, and tell me how it all came about.
Yeah, I mean, really the thought process, like I mentioned, was as we were speaking to candidates and speaking to them about different brands. And we're so blessed and fortunate that we're partnered with hundreds of different great developers that really have great brands in home services, fitness, kids. That's really something I'm passionate about, obviously, as a mom, but I love working with those kid brands. And so, I think it was my dad one day that was like, we keep making all these PowerPoints and presentations. It would be nice if we just had somewhere to send people to learn about these brands.
Okay.
So we've also got YouTube videos. We have our own YouTube channel. So if people would rather watch videos to learn about the brands instead of read, that's me. I'm not a reader, but I will always watch TV.
Oh, that's brilliant. No, that's brilliant. And there's the whole thing about communicating, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. That's brilliant.
Yeah, so we've really got something for everyone. And it honestly kind of helps us to relieve a bit of our schedule and not necessarily have to be on the phone with those people answering specific questions that they can find through our website. So that's really helped too, as far as productivity goes. Being a mom and not being able to just answer the phone every time it rings necessarily. It's nice to have something to offer back to the people that we work with.
Yeah, and we do, again, for the audience, a lot of people probably know this, but we do work with people at different levels and interest stages, so to speak. So for a lot of the people that are in their really early stages, almost kind of kicking tires, your approach is great. I mean, it kind of automates it. It lets them learn at their own pace. And then if they're,
and you can certainly
more
filter
serious,
it. Like we've got industry filters on there, financial filters. So like you mentioned, it is helpful for people to really know what am I interested in. Sometimes it's easier to start with what are you not interested in? What do you not want to do? And so to kind of have have a list to look over all of that is helpful. We also send out emails every other day, spotlighting different brands, kind of bringing them back to the website as well. So that's really what we're about. We're not looking to necessarily compete with the big biz buy sells or franchise gators that are out there, but we just love having something the three of us take so much ownership and excitement into having that thankfully has been able to bless a lot of people.
That's great. That's great. So, so tell us who, if someone's listening, and I should have said, you know this, I should have said this to the audience. I mean, we have franchise consultants that are on here trying to learn from my guests and myself. And we have people that are interested in buying franchises sometimes. We have some franchisors on. So my audience is kind of a blend. But who do you typically want to work with, Atlana? Who would be your ideal candidate to be working with?
Sure. I love the people that want to change. They're not afraid to take the risk, or maybe they are. Maybe there is some hesitancy into it, and they're just looking for guidance, someone who can really listen to what the struggles are, but also what their goals are. And I love working with the husband and wife teams that truly just come from a place of, we just want a better life for our kids. Or we want to do something that will create generational impact in our family, because we never had that. And so I love working with those people that really come from a place of service, but also family. And so really anyone that's just kind of looking to learn more about what is franchising, could it be a possibility for me? Those are the people I love to work with. I, certainly do love to work with the people that have been franchise owners or business owners before. But
you're not going to turn anybody away.
Right. But there's something special about the ones that are just kind of starting their search. I love getting to partner with that and then get them across the finish line with their dream franchise. Nothing's better than that feeling, for sure.
Yeah, and like I said earlier too, to me, there's just such a ripple effect. You help that family. Sometimes in consulting, franchise consulting, people think, "Oh, well, I just helped that family." Well, no, like you're exhibiting, you have a generational impact now. Your parents to you, and you to your daughter,
Right.
and then you have that ripple effect. I think in communities, when you help a new franchise open up in a community, they now create new jobs, and which impact those families. And so I just think it's if the franchise consulting space has just got so much down the line. Yeah. So, well, as I'm always wrapping up, remember everybody, Franchise Top 40, if you want to reach out to Atlanta or know more about her business and the brands that she works a lot with. But I always ask this final question: is there anything I didn't ask you that, as you were thinking about being on the episode with me, that you were thinking of, boy, I want to be sure that this gets out there. I want to be sure I talk about A or B. Anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
I just would love to say to that person that might be listening, that's at home with a kid or 3 kids and just trying to keep it all together, you don't have to pick and choose. And I think that was something I really had to learn when I became a mom. Was I actually realized how much I loved my job when I became a mom, and obviously love my daughter, but you don't have to, put your dreams on hold for the time being to raise your family. That certainly is a job in and of itself, if not the most important job. But if you're not being fulfilled that way, or you think there's more potential in your season, it never hurts to just look around, see what else is out there. And it's possible. I've done it, and it certainly isn't easy every day, but the rewards certainly outshine themselves.
That is an awesome way to close. As I opened the episode, I said, boy, if you think you've got barriers to owning and running a business, talk to this lady. And you just summed it up perfectly, that it all can be done. If you've got the passion, you want to make it happen, it certainly can be done. And you're certainly the lady for folks to reach out and know the brands and find out how to do it. So I really appreciate you. And I thank you for being on the episode. I think it's going to be so powerful for the audience that tunes in with me. So thanks, Atlanta.
Yes. Thanks, Don. It's been a privilege, and congrats on 25 years.
Thanks. All right. Bye, everybody.